Have you ever stopped to wonder how your mind works? The human mind is a complex and fascinating machine, capable of incredible feats of thought and creativity. In his groundbreaking book Thinking, Fast and Slow, renowned psychologist Daniel Kahneman delves into the intricacies of human cognition. He introduces us to two distinct systems of thinking that shape our perceptions, judgments, and choices. These systems, known as System 1 and System 2, operate in tandem, influencing our thoughts and actions in both conscious and unconscious ways. By understanding these systems and the cognitive biases they are prone to, we can gain valuable insights into the mechanisms that drive our behavior. Imagine you're driving down a familiar road, lost in thought, effortlessly navigating turns. This is System 1 at work, fast, intuitive, and automatic. Now imagine trying to parallel park in a tight spot. You slow down and carefully maneuver the car. This is System 2, slow, deliberate, and analytical. System 1 provides quick impressions and effortless judgments. It's why we can instantly recognize faces and read simple sentences. But this efficiency comes at a cost. System 1 is prone to biases and errors. System 2 is for complex problems and important decisions. Recognizing when to engage System 2 helps us make better decisions. Our brains are constantly bombarded with information. To cope, we rely on mental shortcuts called heuristics. These cognitive rules of thumb simplify decision-making. But heuristics can lead to cognitive biases. The availability heuristic makes us overestimate events that are easily recalled. For example, after a shark attack report, we might overestimate the risk. The representativeness heuristic leads us to judge based on stereotypes. Awareness of these biases helps us recognize their influence. This awareness allows us to mitigate their impact. Overconfidence is a pervasive cognitive bias that can lead to poor decision-making and negative outcomes. It's the tendency to overestimate our abilities, knowledge, and the accuracy of our judgments. We often fall prey to the illusion of control, believing we have more influence over events than we actually do. This can lead us to take unnecessary risks and make decisions that are not in our best interests. Overconfidence is particularly dangerous in situations involving uncertainty. Recognizing the dangers of overconfidence is crucial for making sound judgments, especially when dealing with high-stakes decisions. By acknowledging our limitations and seeking diverse perspectives, we can mitigate the negative effects of this bias. Loss aversion is a powerful cognitive bias that highlights the asymmetrical way we experience gains and losses. Studies have shown that the pain of losing something is psychologically twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. This means that we are more motivated to avoid losses than to pursue equivalent gains. This bias has significant implications for decision-making, particularly in situations involving risk and uncertainty. Prospect theory, developed by Kahneman and Amos Tversky, explains how we make choices under conditions of risk. It suggests that our decisions are not based on objective outcomes, but rather on our subjective perception of gains and losses relative to a reference point. Framing effects further demonstrate how the way information is presented can influence our choices. The same information, when framed differently, can lead to different decisions, even if the underlying options are objectively the same. The endowment effect is a cognitive bias that illustrates the tendency to overvalue things we own simply because we own them. Once we possess something, we become emotionally attached to it and are less willing to part with it, even if its objective value remains the same. This bias can be observed in various settings, from everyday items to financial assets. For example, imagine you bought a concert ticket for $50. A week later, someone offers to buy the ticket from you for $100. Even though you would never pay $100 for the ticket yourself, you might be hesitant to sell it because you now own it and perceive it to be more valuable. The endowment effect can lead to irrational decision-making, such as holding on to losing investments for too long. Understanding this bias can help us make more rational decisions about our belongings and investments. The planning fallacy is a cognitive bias that causes us to underestimate the time, cost, and effort required to complete tasks and projects. We tend to be overly optimistic about our plans, focusing on the best-case scenario and ignoring potential obstacles and delays. This bias is particularly prevalent in complex projects with many moving parts. For instance, imagine you are planning a home renovation project. You set a budget, create a timeline, and confidently assure yourself that everything will go smoothly. However, as the project unfolds, you encounter unexpected delays, material shortages, and unforeseen expenses. The planning fallacy can be attributed to several factors, including our tendency to focus on the desired outcome and our optimism bias. To mitigate the planning fallacy, it's crucial to break down large projects into smaller, more manageable tasks and build in buffer time for unexpected delays. Priming is a fascinating psychological phenomenon that demonstrates the subconscious influence of our environment and experiences on our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. It occurs when exposure to a stimulus, such as a word, image, or sound, unconsciously activates related concepts and influences our subsequent responses. For example, if you are briefly shown the word yellow, you are more likely to later recognize the word banana faster than the word apple. Priming effects can be subtle and pervasive, influencing our judgments, decisions, and even our social interactions. Understanding the power of priming can help us become more aware of the subtle influences shaping our thoughts and actions. When reflecting on our experiences, we often encounter a curious discrepancy between how we felt in the moment and how we remember feeling later. This discrepancy highlights the distinction between the experiencing self and the remembering self. The experiencing self is the one that lives in the present moment, experiencing life as it unfolds. The remembering self, on the other hand, is the one that recalls and evaluates past experiences. Interestingly, the remembering self doesn't always accurately reflect the experiences of the experiencing self. We tend to remember events based on their peak moments and their endings, rather than their overall duration or intensity. This is known as the peak end rule. For example, we might remember a vacation as being more enjoyable if it had a few amazing moments and a happy ending, even if the majority of the trip was uneventful. Understanding the intricacies of human cognition, as explored in Thinking, Fast and Slow, empowers us to make more informed decisions and avoid common pitfalls. By recognizing the dual nature of our thinking processes, the biases we are prone to, and the influence of our environment, we can develop strategies to enhance our decision-making abilities. Embracing a more mindful approach to thinking involves questioning our assumptions, seeking diverse perspectives, and considering a wider range of possibilities. By cultivating a healthy skepticism towards our own judgments and a willingness to challenge our beliefs, we can make more rational choices. Remember, the journey towards better thinking is an ongoing process of self-reflection, learning, and adaptation. By embracing the insights of cognitive psychology and applying them to our daily lives, we can unlock the full potential of our minds and live more thoughtful, fulfilling lives.